Oh my goodness, you need to hear this right now because the energy coming through is absolutely intense. If you're seeing this reading, it's no coincidence. They made a choice, didn't they? They chose someone else over you, and I know how much that hurt. I know how many nights you've questioned yourself, wondering what you did wrong, wondering if you weren't enough. But wow, what I'm seeing in these cards is going to completely shift your perspective because the universe is revealing something powerful today. They chose wrong. They are living a complete and total lie, and the facade is cracking faster than they ever anticipated. Welcome to Twin Soul Collective Guidance. I'm Blue, and I'm here to bring you the messages that your soul needs to hear right now. Before we dive deep into this reading, I want you to remember something important. Only take what resonates with you. Your intuition knows what's true for you, so if something doesn't feel right, simply leave it behind. But if these words are hitting you in your chest, if you're feeling that confirmation, then this message is absolutely meant for you. The cards are literally screaming right now, and I can feel the heaviness of regret, the weight of pretense, and oh wow, the absolute chaos that's brewing beneath the surface of their so called perfect choice. Let me pull these cards and show you exactly what's happening behind the scenes that they don't want anyone to know. Okay, so the first card that flew out of this deck, and I mean it literally jumped out, is the Seven of Cups in reverse. Oh my goodness, this card is so telling right now. The Seven of Cups reversed is all about illusions shattering, about fantasy crashing into reality, and wow, is that ever what's happening in their situation right now? When they chose this other person, they were chasing an illusion. They were chasing something that looked shiny and perfect on the surface, something that seemed like it would fulfill all their desires and dreams. But here's the thing about illusions, they can only last so long before reality comes knocking at the door. This person they chose, this situation they ran toward, it was all smoke and mirrors. It was based on fantasy, on escapism, on running away from the real depth and authenticity that you offered them. I'm getting chills right now because the energy is so clear. They thought the grass was greener on the other side. They looked at this other option and saw everything they thought they wanted, all wrapped up in a pretty package with a bow on top. Maybe this person seemed easier, less challenging, more fun, more exciting in the moment. Maybe this person didn't trigger them the way you did, didn't make them face their shadows and their fears. But that's exactly the problem. You weren't just some surface level connection. What you shared with them was real. It was deep. It was transformative. And honestly, it terrified them. So they ran. They chose the comfortable lie over the uncomfortable truth. They chose the pretty illusion over the messy, beautiful reality of genuine connection. But wow, the Seven of Cups reversed is showing me that all those illusions are falling apart now. The fantasy is crumbling. They're waking up in the middle of this choice they made and realizing that nothing is what they thought it would be. The person they chose isn't who they pretended to be. The relationship isn't bringing them the happiness they imagined. Instead, they're feeling confused, disillusioned, and deeply disappointed. It's like they dove into a pool expecting crystal clear water and found themselves drowning in murky confusion instead. And the worst part, they're starting to realize what they gave up when they walked away from you. They're starting to see that the real treasure was right in front of them all along and they traded it for fool's gold. The second card coming through is the Two of Pentacles reversed, and oh wow, this is showing me so much chaos and imbalance in their current situation. The Two of Pentacles reversed speaks to someone who's juggling too much, someone who's completely overwhelmed and struggling to maintain balance in their life. This is what their reality looks like right now. They are literally living a lie, trying to keep up appearances, trying to convince everyone, including themselves, that they made the right choice, that they're happy, that everything is perfect. But behind closed doors, it's a completely different story. I'm seeing them struggling to balance the image they're presenting to the world with the truth of what they're actually feeling inside. They're posting the happy photos, saying all the right things, maybe even trying to convince mutual friends or family that this new relationship is amazing, but inside they're falling apart. They're exhausted from pretending. They're drained from trying to make something work that fundamentally doesn't fit. It's like trying to force a puzzle piece into the wrong spot. You can push and push and push, but it's never going to create the complete picture you're hoping for, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. The Two of Pentacles reversed is also showing me financial or practical struggles that are adding to their stress. Maybe this new situation isn't as stable as they thought it would be. Maybe there are responsibilities or complications they didn't anticipate. Maybe they're realizing that what looked so easy and carefree from the outside actually comes with a whole set of problems they weren't prepared for. They can't keep all these balls in the air much longer. Something is going to drop, and when it does, the whole facade is going to come crashing down around them. They're one crisis away from the truth spilling out, from everyone seeing what's really going on beneath the surface. And honestly, part of them is exhausted enough that they almost want it to happen. They're so tired of pretending, so tired of lying, so tired of trying to be someone they're not in this relationship that doesn't feed their soul. Now, the third card is absolutely powerful, and when I pulled this one, I actually gasped. The Four of Cups is here, and this card is showing me someone who is deeply dissatisfied and disconnected from what's right in front of them. Oh my goodness, do you see what this means? They have this person they chose, this relationship they fought for or ran toward, and now that they have it, they're sitting there feeling completely empty and unfulfilled. The Four of Cups shows someone who's so focused on what they don't have, on what's missing, that they can't even appreciate what's being offered to them in the present moment. But here's the kicker: what they're really mourning, what they're really missing is you. I'm getting such strong energy around this. They're sitting in this new relationship, going through the motions, and all they can think about is what they had with you. All they can feel is the absence of that deep connection, that understanding, that spark that made them feel truly alive. This other person might be giving them attention, might be giving them affection, might even be giving them stability, but it's not touching their soul the way you did. It's not lighting them up from the inside. It's not challenging them to grow and evolve. It's surface level, and they're finally realizing that surface level isn't enough for them anymore. The Four of Cups is also about refusing to see opportunities that are right in front of you because you're so stuck in your disappointment and dissatisfaction. They might be pushing away genuine moments of connection with this person they chose because they're constantly comparing everything to what they had with you. They're sabotaging their own choice because deep down they know it was wrong. They know they settled. They know they chose safety or comfort or ego over authentic love and connection, and now they're paying the price for that choice by feeling spiritually and emotionally bankrupt in a situation that looks good on paper but feels hollow in reality. Okay, the fourth card is the Eight of Swords, and wow, this energy is heavy but so revealing. The Eight of Swords represents feeling trapped, restricted, and imprisoned by your own choices and mindset. This is exactly where they are right now. They feel stuck. They feel like they can't get out of this situation they've created. Maybe they've made public declarations about this relationship. Maybe they've intertwined their lives in practical ways that make it complicated to leave. Maybe they're worried about what people will think if they admit they made a mistake. Maybe their ego won't allow them to confess that they chose wrong and that you were actually the right person all along. So they're standing there, blindfolded, surrounded by swords, feeling like there's no way out, even though the reality is that they could remove that blindfold at any moment and walk free. The prison they're in is largely self-created. It's made of their own fears, their own pride, their own inability to admit the truth and face the consequences of their choices. And oh my goodness, the suffering that comes with this. They're torturing themselves every single day by staying in something that doesn't align with their truth. They're choosing to remain trapped rather than face the temporary discomfort of admitting they were wrong. I'm also seeing with the Eight of Swords that they feel victimized by their own situation. They might even be blaming external circumstances or other people for why they can't be with you or why they have to make this work with someone else. But the cards are clear. This is a victim mentality. They are not actually powerless here. They're choosing this imprisonment because it feels easier than taking responsibility and making the hard choices that would lead them back to authenticity and truth. They're choosing the familiar discomfort of the cage over the uncertain freedom that awaits them outside of it. The fifth and final card is the Ten of Swords. And honestly, when this card appeared, I felt such a wave of finality and completion. The Ten of Swords represents rock bottom, the end of a cycle, complete betrayal, and the absolute worst case scenario playing out. Now, this might sound scary, but actually, this is a very hopeful card in this context because you cannot rise until you've hit the bottom, and they are heading toward that rock bottom moment with this wrong choice they made. This situation they're in, this lie they're living, it has an expiration date. It cannot continue indefinitely. The Ten of Swords says that this painful cycle is coming to a dramatic and final end. I'm seeing a moment of complete breakdown coming for them, a moment where they can no longer deny the truth, where they can no longer hold up the facade, where everything they've been suppressing and avoiding comes crashing down all at once. It might be triggered by a specific event, a confrontation, a realization, or just the accumulated weight of living inauthentically for so long. But when it happens, it's going to be absolute and undeniable. The Ten of Swords doesn't do things halfway. When this tower falls, it falls completely. But here's what's beautiful about the Ten of Swords. It also represents the darkest hour before the dawn. It's the necessary death that must occur before rebirth can happen. They cannot transform, they cannot grow, they cannot come back to truth and authenticity until this false situation completely collapses, and it's going to collapse. The energy is inevitable. What they built on lies and illusions cannot stand. What they forced into being without genuine foundation cannot last. The Ten of Swords is the universe's way of saying enough is enough, this chapter is over, and it's time for the truth to finally emerge. Now, looking at all five of these cards together, the story is so incredibly clear. They chose someone else based on fantasy and illusion, represented by the Seven of Cups reversed. They're now struggling to maintain balance and keep up the lie, shown by the Two of Pentacles reversed. Despite having what they thought they wanted, they're deeply dissatisfied and disconnected, which is the Four of Cups. They feel trapped in this situation they created and can't see a way out because of their own fears and ego. That's the Eight of Swords. And it's all leading to an inevitable collapse and ending, the Ten of Swords, where the truth will finally be undeniable and this false chapter will close completely. What I want you to understand from this reading is that their wrong choice is not a reflection of your worth or value. You were not the problem. You were actually too real for them in that moment. You represented depth, transformation, and authentic connection, and they weren't ready for that. They weren't brave enough for that. So they ran to something easier, something that didn't challenge them, something that allowed them to stay comfortable and avoid their own growth. But the universe doesn't reward running from truth. The universe doesn't support relationships built on escapism and illusion. And so what they're experiencing now is the natural consequence of choosing comfort over authenticity, choosing ego over heart, choosing fantasy over real love. They are living a lie, and that lie is suffocating them. Every day they pretend to be happy is another day they betray their own soul. Every smile they fake is another crack in their foundation. Every night they lay next to someone who isn't you is another reminder of what they gave up. And it's only a matter of time before it all comes crumbling down. Cards are absolutely certain about this. This is not sustainable. This cannot last. The truth always finds a way to surface, and their truth is knocking louder and louder every single day. Ochioer? So what does this mean for you? What are you supposed to do with this information? Well, first and foremost, I want you to release any remaining guilt or shame you've been carrying about this situation. If you've been blaming yourself, if you've been wondering what you could have done differently, if you've been questioning your worth because they chose someone else, please let that go right now. The cards are showing you so clearly that this was never about you not being enough. This was about them not being ready for what you offered. This was about them choosing the easy path instead of the real path, and honestly, that's on them, not on you. I also want you to understand that you dodged a bullet here. I know it doesn't feel that way when you're in the pain of rejection, when you're mourning what could have been, but think about it. Do you really want to be with someone who runs from depth? Do you want to be with someone who chooses illusion over truth? Do you want to build a life with someone who would rather live a lie than face themselves honestly? Because that's who they revealed themselves to be through this choice. They showed you that when things get real, when connection gets deep, when transformation is required, they will choose the exit door. They will choose the comfortable cage over authentic freedom. And you deserve so much better than that. Right now, your job is not to wait for them. Your job is not to hold space for their eventual awakening. Your job is not to be available when this all falls apart and they come looking for what they lost. Your job is to honor yourself, to heal yourself, to recognize your own worth, and to stay open to the connections and opportunities that are actually aligned with who you are and where you're going. Yes, they chose wrong. Yes, they're living a lie. Yes, it's all going to collapse. But that's their journey. That's their lesson. That's their karma playing out. Your journey is about rising above this, about not letting their choice diminish your light, about trusting that the universe has something so much better planned for you. Okay? I need you to really hear this next part because it's important. When their situation does fall apart, and it will, they might come back, they might reach out, they might try to reconnect or explain or apologize. And you need to decide right now, before that moment comes, what your boundaries are going to be. Are you going to be someone's backup plan? Are you going to accept someone who only realized your value after they lost you? Are you going to trust someone who already showed you that they will run when things get challenging? These are questions only you can answer, but I want you to answer them from a place of self-worth and self-respect, not from a place of loneliness or nostalgia for what used to be. The energy I'm getting is that you are being protected right now, even though it might not feel like it. The universe removed them from your path because you have something greater coming. You have connections coming that won't require you to question or chase or wonder. You have love coming that will be certain and stable and willing to do the work. You have people coming into your life who will recognize your value immediately and consistently, not just when they've lost you and realized what they gave up. Trust that what's meant for you will not require this much pain and confusion and uncertainty. Trust that real love, aligned love, doesn't feel like this. I also want to acknowledge that even knowing all of this, even understanding that they chose wrong and are living a lie, it might still hurt. And that's okay. Your feelings are valid. You're allowed to grieve what could have been. You're allowed to feel angry that they wasted your time and energy. You're allowed to be frustrated that they couldn't see what was right in front of them. Feel those feelings, process them, honor them, but don't let them keep you stuck. Don't let their wrong choice become your prison. Don't give them so much power over your present and future that you can't move forward into what's actually waiting for you. The cards today have revealed the truth behind the facade. They've shown you what's really happening beneath the surface of their seemingly perfect choice. They've confirmed what your intuition probably already knew, that something is very wrong in their situation, that they're struggling, that they're dissatisfied, that they're trapped in something that isn't authentic or sustainable. But more importantly, these cards have freed you. They've freed you from the need to question yourself. They've freed you from the burden of wondering if you weren't enough. They freed you from the prison of waiting and hoping for someone who wasn't brave enough to choose you when it mattered. So take a deep breath, release them energetically, wish them well on their journey of learning this painful lesson, and then turn your attention back to yourself, back to your own healing, back to your own growth, back to your own beautiful future that's unfolding exactly as it should. You are not the one who chose wrong. You are not the one living a lie. You are the one who showed up authentically, loved deeply, and had the courage to be real even when it was scary. And that is something to be proud of. That is something that will serve you beautifully in the connections that are coming, the ones that are actually worthy of what you have to offer. Thank you so much for being here today for this reading. I hope these messages brought you clarity, confirmation, and comfort. Remember, only take what resonates with you and leave the rest behind. Trust yourself, trust your journey, and trust that everything is working out for your highest good, even when it doesn't feel like it in the moment. You are so loved, you are so worthy, and you are exactly where you need to be. The 5 tarot cards that came through in today's reading were the 7 of Cups reversed, showing the illusions and fantasies that are now crumbling in their wrong choice. The 2 of Pentacles reversed, revealing the chaos, imbalance, and struggle they're facing while trying to maintain this lie. The 4 of Cups representing their deep dissatisfaction and disconnection despite having what they thought they wanted. The 8 of Swords showing how trapped and imprisoned they feel by their own choices and inability to admit the truth. And finally, the 10 of Swords, the card of rock bottom and inevitable ending, confirming that this false situation cannot and will not last. Sending you so much light and love on your journey. Until next time.